Hello, hello, welcome back to my class. I'm going to show you another way to use resisting and stamping. There's resisting with stencils, with gel medium and gesso. There's also resisting, meaning that you're blocking off the paper so the watercolor can't get to the paper, right? And it's through embossing. It's through heat embossing is really what the term is. You can kind of see that there's something on the paper, but you don't quite know what yet. That's the heat embossing. That's another resist technique. So let me show you how I do that. And I'm actually not using a cling stamp. This was the image, and it's really fun. So a couple rules to think about when you're heat embossing and resisting, using it as a resist, is you want I have a couple of different ways to heat emboss. This is actually gold embossed, and so it's already on the paper. It has a bit of a texture. I'm going to add pigment to it, and we'll get some really fun results. Now this you can see, right? You can see the stars like falling down, or I don't know, I call it like a waterfall stamp, where it's really thick at the beginning and then it falls down. I like the solid. I also think that something like this works really well because it's not like one certain image. Like we can put a whole bunch of texture right here, and we can add some purples here and some greens down here and get a really cool artistic look to it. Whereas something like this, I'm going to be painting a gallery or a galaxy type motif to that. So that should be fun too. Another one that will be pretty fun for resist is this mandala. And I'm hoping to just get some really pretty blues and purples, maybe some oranges on a different card, but you just want something that maybe it's more of a delicate stamp. Those usually work well. And then for the whites are going to be hard to see until I start painting, but you'll get the idea once I start stamping with it. And let's try, actually, we'll go with this mandala, or we'll go with the star background. This is the star background. I did gold. I'm going to show you in white. Don't think it's going to matter too much. I do like this star background a lot, actually. I've used it for graduation cards and baby cards, and I don't know, it's just really fun. But instead of going lengthwise, I might just try and go like this, so then we have more room to play with the ink. Let's see how that goes. Okay. And so I got my stamp laid onto the paper, know where I want it. Now I can just stamp this. This is Embossing Ink. It's a thick ink pad, and it's been well loved. When you get it first opened, it will look it'll look white, and it is not white. It is gray because it is well loved. There's nothing wrong with it. You can buy re-inkers, which I have bought multiple re-inkers for this poor little stamp ink pad, but it still works the same, so why replace something that isn't broken? So I'm going to go ahead and stamp this. Same thing with stamping with Archival Ink. You want to wait like 30 seconds or count to 10. Just kind of, I don't know, enjoy the moment of pressing down on it so you get a good impression. And then there, you can't really see it. You're just going to have to go by faith that it stamped okay, which it did. You can kind of see when you move it around, if you see ink, then you did it right. And now I'm using my copy paper to catch my extra embossing powder. This is embossing powder. You can get it in I got this one at Hobby Lobby. You can get this, any craft store usually will carry embossing powder. It's nothing to be afraid of. It does remind me of glitter in the fact that it's very loose, and I just, once that stuff is stamped on it, you can kind of see the, yeah. And there's lots of other tutorials online on how to get a good heat embossing panel, but I wanted to share with you how I do it. Everyone does it differently. I still find a copy sheet of paper and then putting it right back into the jar is enough. And I've had this for, oh geez, probably 10 years. So it'll go a long way if you keep putting it back into the jar. And so that's what I do. Now you have to heat set it. And I'm going to show you how. I like to wait for the heat gun to get really hot and then go on to my paper. And I'll get it started, and I'm hoping that the camera will show how it looks a little bit different. Okay. So when it heat embosses, you see that shimmer kind of. I'm gonna you see how that is kind of glossy and the rest isn't. That's the glossy part is where it is heat set. So anything that's not glossy is not heat set. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this on, heat set the whole thing, and then come back and show you the rest. Okay, it is done. It is heat set. You can see that it is all very shiny. And now I am ready to paint on a whole bunch of watercolor panels and show you some fun ways that I like to use this heat embossing resistant technique.